I seem to recall that my first experience with the guitar was a long time back, 50 years back now. I was about 11 years old, and my family just came back from India after 1 year. And for some reason my dad made us all have these classical guitar lessons with a guy called Eric Dodson. He was an Englishman. I think he was a clerk by day, and he taught classical guitar in the rest of his time. I remember that I didn't really like the guitar all that much. Maybe it was the classical music. And I think we lasted maybe 6 months or a year, and then I think we got sick of it or something happened, and then we just put the guitars aside for quite a few years, and then we came back to it probably 6, 7, 8 years later. So after putting the classical guitar aside for some years, I must have come across a guitarist by the name of Carlos Santana from the Santana band. And I think that just really sparked my interest in guitar. I just remember hearing a few pieces by Santana like Oye Como Va, Moonflower, and I thought, wow, that's what I want to be doing. And I think then I probably went out and got myself an electric guitar. I can't remember what kind, but it would have been electric. Found myself a new guitar teacher. I think it was a name by a guy called Pitt Ramsey. Yeah, Pitt Ramsey, who was one of the smartest guys I think I ever met. He was into politics and all kinds of things, but he knew his guitar really well. And I think the first song I learned was either Santana's Moonflower or George Benson's Breezin'. It was one of those two. And I think Moonflower was the first piece I played in front of a live audience at my high school, in front of 1,200 people, and I was probably shaking away, really nervous about that, but it came off okay. So there was a time when I had about 3-4 guitars, like a bass, acoustic. I think I had a jazz guitar, a Meton, which is an Australian guitar. And I think I had an Ibanez guitar too, so I had the whole range. And when I was 20, fate would have it that I ended up going to Japan. All those guitars except for the Meton were Japanese guitars, so I said to myself, they'll be really cheap in Japan. Whoa, I was wrong. Yeah, I got to Japan, I was 20, 21, and I had sold my guitars. Got to Japan, found that they were like 2 or 3 times more expensive. Japan at that time was, I think it was the most expensive country in the entire world, and I got so busy with Japanese stuff, Japanese language, work, studies, that man, the guitar just fell by the wayside for a long time. I think it was like 15, 20 years, so yeah, for almost 2 decades there was no guitar at all. I probably listened to guitar, but I wasn't playing anything. So that was a real black hole in my so-called guitar career. So there are many things about the guitar that I just really love and fell in love with way back in my teens. The first one being back to my influence with Carlos Santana, where he would sort of play the weeping guitar, where you get those really long, almost violin kind of notes. I just found that just incredibly beautiful, and all the guitarists that I have liked in the meantime tend to play in that kind of style. I've always had a passion for those long, wailing kind of notes, and very emotional, and that's kind of guitar that I aspire to playing to now. I don't know whether I've quite achieved that, but that's where I feel that now I'm heading with my own guitar. So after almost a 20-year absence from playing the guitar, I picked it up again and I just couldn't get the sound, I couldn't get the technique. So I spent kind of 3 or 4 years just plucking away, trying to get my own kind of style, which I kind of have partly achieved, I think. It's an ongoing process, like any art endeavour. It never stops until it stops. So I'm sort of practicing my own techniques now, trying to get my own kind of style, sound and so on, and working towards like an album. One of my inspirations for an album is Frank Zappa's first album called Freak Out. So my first album, the working title is called All Futured Out, which combines my love of things to do with the future and science fiction along with the guitar. So it'll be a mix of pure guitar solo instrumentals along with some more kind of science fictional lyrics and a little splash of social parody, satire, and maybe even some kind of experimental, kind of semi-classical pieces, which pretty much covers all my styles. I can still do the classical, and I like to mix up the classical with the kind of more heavy rock kind of a sound, and I think maybe that will be one of my signature sounds. So I have three music videos based on my guitar work. All of them pretty much done just solo, because I just don't have a band. One is called All Tied Up, and it's partly shot in an abandoned warehouse in Ipswich. And then there are cuts, inserts from footage that I shot in Japan, which is a little bit X-rated. But check it out on YouTube, All Tied Up.